When I started this journey, I thought I would enjoy going back and watching this family from the beginning into modern day. But watching this much Plathville in a year may have actually taken years off my life. Hi, I'm Danny, and I've been watching TLC's show Welcome to Plathville. So far, I have watched seasons 1, 2, and 3, as well as all of season 5 as it was premiering. That means I am finally on my last season of rewatching. But if you haven't seen my previous videos, I highly recommend going back and starting at the beginning. Season 4, episode 1 opens with Lydia singing.
But when I'm down, you give me strength.
And downstairs, the girls are getting lit.
Yeah, microphone check. Here goes the Neo flow. I give me drop knowledge on your earlobe.
Look at all that leg on Kim. Whoa, whoa, whoa. New season, new Kim.
I have been taking care of myself, making it a priority to go to the gym every day, and I feel really good.
She also mentions that after years of missing dancing in college, Kim will be opening a dance studio in Cairo.
What I'm seeing in Kim is she's reestablished some things within herself, her identity. She's got a glow back in her and a skip in her step again. Whether Kim is having a midlife crisis or not right now, I don't know. She's entering into that phase.
So basically, the season starts with Kim's hypocrisy and Barry not taking her very seriously. For years, we've watched clips of Kim shaming Mariah for wearing short shorts and restricting the kids from listening to any modern pop or even country music. And yet, here is Kim showing leg and listening to whatever she wants. I understand why she feels like she has lost herself in all of the years of motherhood. She is a reactive parent, and everything she wasn't capable of maintaining in her life, she restricted from her family's life. Now she's seeing these kids go out in the world and have the fun she used to have, and she wants it back. Meanwhile, in Tampa, Olivia and Ethan are living together again, but now they have roommates Mariah and Olivia's brother Nathan.
And this is my first time outside my parents' home.
So Nathan is 18 and has just finished high school. He no longer wants to be in the hyper-conservative world he was raised in, so Olivia offered him a room in Tampa. Meanwhile, Mariah is going through it. As we saw in past seasons, Mariah isn't known for being helpful at doing chores or cooking. She's currently in a funk after breaking up with Max. So with those two things together, she keeps leaving the house a mess and not doing dishes. Ethan, being the prankster he is, decides a good prank is what will get Mariah to come out of hiding.
I decided to unplug the coils from her car. She won't be able to drive anywhere unless she does dishes.
When Mariah tries to leave, she realizes the car won't start, and Olivia tells her right away that it was because of Ethan.
Well, I don't care anymore.
It's clear she wasn't down for a prank. We'll take a pause on that and visit Micah in LA. He has now lived there for 2 months.
Smoking weed is legal out here, and I've experimented with weed several times.
According to Micah, when he told Kim, she was very cool about it and said her mom used to grow it. It seems Micah can do no wrong and just gets a pass in everything he does. In LA, he is still modeling and has been using dating apps. He is living next door to his friend Hayden for free in exchange for taking care of that person's pets while they're gone. Hayden and Micah are both pursuing acting. They begin talking about all the things Micah still hasn't seen.
I still haven't seen Harry Potter.
Oh my God.
I know everyone's seen that, yeah.
My guy, and there's
That's
also
on my
like,
list.
what, like 8 of them?
Yeah.
Back in Tampa, Ethan is putting Mariah's car back together.
Just so you know, I'm not really mad at you. Like, I think it's funny on any other day, but it's not funny today because I was already in the bad mood.
I included that quote because I was surprised by her emotional maturity there and her ability to somewhat communicate what she's feeling. Now we get a bit more information on how she's been doing since the breakup. In an attempt to not ruin his reputation, Mariah keeps it broad and says Max called her to tell her he made a mistake.
Since then, I have been in a dark place.
Now, Mariah may be only 19 here, but she thought Max was the one. Last season, he gave her a promise ring as a way to say he wants to be with her forever, but isn't at the marriage stage yet. The future she saw for herself has completely changed.
I'm scared to share what happened with anybody because once I say it out loud, it becomes real.
The scene transitions to Olivia and Ethan rollerblading around the neighborhood. They feel like their relationship is doing better now that they're separated from Ethan's family and able to intentionally spend more time together.
I'm definitely thankful that Olivia and I are back together.
Unfortunately, Olivia ends up falling on Ethan's ankle and he has to waddle back home.
We didn't have a nice pet.
I'll make you one. We then transition over to Thanksgiving, where Olivia and Nathan are preparing dinner, but have no clue where Ethan and Mariah are.
I don't want to go inside because then they're going to ask us to cook.
You know what I don't understand about Mariah? In the next season, we see her turn back to her family, but still not change who she is. I fully believe Mariah should be who she wants to be. But realistically, a woman who cannot cook or clean and is constantly self-serving is not going to be successful in a fundamentalist marriage or household. So I struggle to understand her plan. It's odd how both Ethan and Mariah have gotten away with not helping out for so long. Hosanna and Lydia held that family together instead.
Oh, the kitchen needs to be cleaned. We'll see y'all. Or, hey, the food needs to be prepared. We'll see y'all.
Even Nathan sees the issue, and he grew up very similarly. Moving on from that, though, they have an additional guest for Thanksgiving, and Mariah had no clue.
What's up, guys?
Oh my God.
This is the first time Micah and Mariah have seen each other since Micah moved to LA. So Micah doesn't know about the breakup and asks about Max.
Can I ask what happened?
We'll have to talk about it.
Meanwhile, Kim is setting up her dance studio.
I want adult ballet classes, and I can't take them anywhere in South Georgia.
Is the demand for adult ballet big enough for this? I mean, clearly no, because she no longer owns this studio. Kim goes back to talking about how she's dedicated all these years to being a mom.
Always pregnant and or nursing. Homeschooling, trying to keep everybody fed and clothed and music and just everything.
Kim chose that life though. Neither her or Barry were raised that way. If she lost herself in that, that was because of her strictness and intense parenting. But this is where she also starts mentioning how she doesn't want to be with Barry anymore. She shares a journal entry.
I long for excitement, passion, connection, true intimacy. Maybe I would just be better off to live life, move forward as if everything's okay, and hope for the best. But at the same time, I feel dead inside.
And that wraps up the episode. Episode 2 opens with Ethan and Nathan riding scooters around Tallahassee. The montage feels incredibly random, but Micah is still in Tampa and wants to catch up with Mariah to see what's going on with Max. But Mariah is pushing back because she feels like she worked so hard to open herself up and then she was betrayed, so now she doesn't want to talk to anyone.
I can't love somebody else after Max. It's not possible.
This is partially why dating to marry can be so dangerous. I was raised with the same mindset and it worked out for me, but when it doesn't, a person's whole world falls apart. Breakups are already so complicated and awful, but to think you're losing your soulmate adds a layer that can make it that much harder. Mariah decides it would be better for Micah to talk to Max since they were close friends. Transitioning back to Kim, she mentions how her realization about everything occurred when she had the house to herself for several days and was able to think on her own for the first time in a while. She came to realize just how unhappy she was. Since then, Kim has been out of the house more often and has asked Barry to step up with some of the household things.
You want Mexican? Just have Amber cook the meat and set out all the Mexican stuff.
And so are you going to be here to help Amber prepare this or what?
So basically, we've got another child carrying the weight again. Based on the show, it doesn't seem like Kim has been doing the cooking and cleaning as much as she probably once did, but I also don't think Barry ever did any of it. She then asks Barry to remind the girls to get done what she had told them to do earlier, and he makes a comment about that's now the role he's stepping into. It's obvious that Kim is frustrated by the comment.
So yeah, I guess I'll take the initiative and I'll coordinate with Amber. Can you pick up some guacamole on the way home?
I know it's partially how Barry talks, but he's so odd in this conversation. He seems helpless without Kim or Amber.
She was really holding up a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, she had 10 kids. In Tampa, Olivia shares that a large reason they are able to spend a lot more time together is because Ethan left his job and she's working full-time from home. I'm glad they have the finances to be able to do that because, as we saw in the last season, Ethan was experiencing some intense burnout. Mariah is also unemployed. Again, very weird dynamic between the Plath and Meg siblings.
It can be really tricky.
Now, back to Kim. As reality TV does, they drag out the Kim feeling lost narrative quite a bit. It gets annoying very fast, considering we're on episode 2 right now.
Lately, I've been realizing that I'm feeling neglected in my marriage.
She goes on to say that biblically, the husband is meant to be the head of the household, but should also nurture and care for his wife. She doesn't feel Barry does that, but that he has been attempting to better understand. All right, now it's time for Micah to talk to Max and get the tea on what happened. While it's clear he's upset and probably sorry, no one made him cheat. So I'm pretty unforgiving. Also, the show giving him the title of Mariah's ex-boyfriend is so funny.
I f***ed up, man. Pretty bad.
He begins explaining that he was at a retirement party for an old friend. I don't know why he's friends with anyone old enough to retire, but that's besides the point. He then says there was a woman at the party that Max knew his friend liked, so in an attempt to be a wingman, he began flirting with her.
And that led her to think that it was okay to try and kiss me.
Weird how that sentence was put together. Sounds like you want this to be her fault, Max. Good news is he told Mariah about the kiss right away.
And like an idiot, I said, I'm proud of myself for not letting it go too far.
Thankfully, Mariah was smart enough to decide that worthy of breaking up with him, and I agree with her on that. Whether he kissed her or was kissed, he did let it go too far. Micah is not happy.
I will say I'm really disappointed in you.
Max also admits that in the breakup, he re-brought up her clothes and said things that were hurtful. Micah then starts playing this odd tough guy thing and says that he's going to make sure Max is owning up to everything and not sugarcoating it.
It is tricky just because it was just me and my friend.
Red flag right there. Micah and Max say their goodbyes and Micah FaceTimes Mariah.
Really just brought up a lot of other things that I didn't even realize was just under the rug.
The moment I watched the clothing conversation in season 3, I wanted better for Mariah. So I hate that it had to end so horribly, but I'm glad Mariah can get out and find a much more mature and accepting man. Now it's time for Micah and Mariah to head to Cairo and tell the family about Max. Before getting into that, Lydia shares she now works full-time at a bank and they catch up about Tampa and LA. And that's when Lydia asks if Max will be joining them in Tampa soon.
We're not together right now, and
the family picks up that Mariah is uncomfortable, so they change the topic. I do want to note that this is the first breakup for the Plaths. Hosanna and Ethan both technically courted. They didn't date their spouses, so a breakup is a pretty big deal in this house. I do appreciate Kim here, though.
I just wanted to tell you, you're beautiful.
You're like a sparkly purple jewel.
I wish Kim was loving and supportive like this all the time. I am so grateful that neither Kim or Barry hit her with a told you so, just because she took a different dating route than what she was raised to believe and it didn't work out. I mean, they're also in their own broken relationship right now. Mariah and Lydia then break away for some girl time. This is where we learn that Max is still chatting with Lydia.
I was texting him just a few days ago.
Lydia goes on to explain that Max felt like an older brother to her.
I'm heartbroken in a way.
Again, their relationship is very odd to me, but whatever. I understand that Lydia doesn't know the details of why they broke up, but this next question is odd. She still wants to hang out with Max.
Like if I asked him to join my friends, you know, I can just hang out with the friends.
If I told my sister that me and my boyfriend broke up and she asked if she could still hang out with him, I'd be devastated. This moment was not about you, Lydia. And Mariah was hurt by it too. Unfortunately, that's how the episode ends. Episode 3 opens with Mariah recording some vocals with Olivia. If you've been watching my videos, you know I am not a fan of Mariah's voice.
But I just wanted you to know that I'm not sorry.
These scenes really make me appreciate Olivia's patience and loyalty because I know she knew it wasn't good. And she supported Mariah anyways. The scene switches over to Micah and Mariah driving to LA. I guess they spent their holidays in Minnesota with Barry's family, but we don't see any of that. Micah still doesn't have a place and has been couch surfing with his friends. Meanwhile, in Tampa, Ethan is starting to get the itch to fix up his cars again. He also mentions that while they were separated last season, he bought a car from the 1950s without telling her. So now he has to let her know. As always, it seems Olivia is the one trying to make things work because she told Ethan he can build a shop in the backyard for his cars, or they could try to find a shop locally for him to work on the cars. And Ethan just keeps saying no. He amounts it all to how much cheaper it will be to work on them in Cairo. So he's planning on going to Cairo for 2 weeks, and Olivia is rightfully upset. As we know, Ethan doesn't talk to Olivia or communicate with her when it comes to his time in the shop. It doesn't help that for months now, he's owned a car and didn't tell her about it.
I feel like when he's up there, he's not honest with me about what happens and what goes on. And so I don't know that I can trust what's happening.
That conversation ends undecided, and Olivia still doesn't know about the car. In LA, Mariah and Micah are hanging out with Hayden.
Do you know what that is?
I think I do.
Oh, that right there?
Yeah.
One of those.
I think it's
a vibrator.
He might not know exactly what a vibrator is.
The next several minutes is Mariah talking about releasing her first single, and it's basically just a big ad. We're gonna skip over that. However, we do get some fun hanging out and laughing with Micah's friends, and we learn another thing about Max that I hate.
Max wasn't comfortable with me having guy friends.
Listen, men, women, and NBs. If you don't trust your partner to hang out with the gender they're attracted to, you do not trust your partner. Also, how funny is it that Max didn't like her hanging out with guys, but then went on to cheat on her? Embarrassing. Mariah goes on to say she feels guilty being happy even though it's been over 3 months since the breakup. It sucks because she genuinely deserves so much better than the jealous control freak man she had. In Cairo, we get the pleasure of watching one of the oddest scenes of this show. Remember, Barry and Kim have not decided on a divorce yet. They're just separated right now. But that doesn't stop Kim from inviting her trainer Nigel over for dinner. He is Jamaican and will be making them a Jamaican dish.
I meet Nigel and I'm like, well, this guy, yeah, you can tell he's at the gym a lot.
But this scene is all about how fit and attractive Nigel is. Many viewers question if Kim was cheating on Barry. I doubt it, but we don't know.
There's no reason to be jealous. I know there's nothing there.
I honestly don't know what's happening with this scene.
Barry started going to the gym, but he goes in the evenings. He goes for about 5 minutes.
Damn, Kim, that's brutal. The rest of the scene is the family cooking and then eating together with some light banter. It seems like they really enjoyed having a guest over and trying a new meal. In LA, Mariah reveals that Micah basically scared the truth out of Max because he called her to tell her what truly happened.
He said it was just a kiss and it turned out to be more than that.
I think Micah saw that coming. The story was very sketchy to begin with. Mariah also reveals that Max tried to tell her she cheated on him just for the clothes she wears. So that's insane. Thankfully, Mariah is also less lovey-dovey and is coming to realize it wasn't the perfect relationship she thought it was.
I really don't want to leave this chapter in anger. I just want to have good memories and know that that was not for me anymore. And
I left for a reason.
This is also where we find out Mariah decided to release her first song in LA, and Olivia would be coming to help her and be there for the release. Speaking of Olivia, she is currently in Orlando shooting a wedding, but not just a plain old wedding, a lesbian wedding.
I just wanted to serve them and love them like any of my other couples.
Yes, Olivia, ally. Right after the wedding, Olivia heads on a flight to LA. As a reminder, in season 5, Mariah begins to claim Olivia stole her music and the money made off of it. I just want to bring that to your attention as we hear what Mariah says right here.
And honestly, I would not be here if it weren't for Olivia.
Interesting how when y'all's relationship was good, you appreciated the work she put forth for you, Mariah. Such a shame. Olivia goes on to steal such highly sought after music. I also feel so bad for Micah's friends because they get forced to listen to the song and react in front of Mariah. It's a good thing they're all trying to become actors.
It's really good.
They definitely fed into her delusions.
But I just wanted you to know that I'm not sorry.
One thing I do love about this moment is the obvious growth. In season 1, Mariah could barely convince Kim to let her go to California. Now she's standing on the beach with purple hair, listening to her own music with Olivia, and Micah has moved to LA. That's super cool to me. In Cairo, Barry mentions that Kim has thrown herself into her dance studio, so he hardly sees her for meals anymore.
Looking back on my relationship, I think I just missed lots of opportunities to show Kim I love her.
Barry also reveals that Kim moved out of the bedroom and now sleeps on the couch. This line is super interesting now that I know this is his second marriage.
I've always thought marriage would be till I die, but in reality it looks like it could end soon.
Another episode ending on a sad note. Season 4 is not a happy place. TLC is holding on to the drama as best as they can. All right, now episode 4 begins in Tampa as Olivia and Ethan are packing for their trip to Cairo. Ethan still hasn't mentioned the car he bought.
The last thing on the face of the earth I want to do is tell Olivia about this car.
I don't think I'll ever understand why he made it a secret in the first place. It truly is amazing how he knows he uses cars as a way to not deal with his relationship, and yet he does nothing to stop doing that. The show really plays this up though, and gets Mariah involved because she knows about the car, but Olivia doesn't.
I think Ethan's digging himself a big hole right now, keeping it a secret and then waiting this long.
Meanwhile, in Cairo, Kim and Barry have decided to live separately. That means Kim moves into one of their rental properties anytime it's vacant. She talks about how Barry still hasn't been the partner she feels like she needs.
As soon as he thought maybe it was working, he stopped trying.
Upon this realization, Kim told Barry there was no way this was going to work. The producer then asks what Barry's reaction was.
He cried.
I do find this entire scene ironic because she talks about how Barry isn't giving her what she wants, but is also claiming he wants to make it work. Kim says he doesn't seem to want to change, and that's why it can't work. So basically, she's feeling the neglect and hurt her kids have been talking about throughout the show, but doesn't see the irony in choosing to leave Barry. TLC then shows us an interview moment of Kim from the year before.
I guess my philosophy on marriage is look with eyes wide open beforehand, and then afterwards, eyes half shut. You're in and you know, that's what you signed up for.
I'm actually really glad to see Kim abandon that thought because it's incredibly toxic. I know what the Bible says about marriage, but if God wants his children to be neglected and miserable in their relationships just because they chose to marry that person, I don't care too much for that God. No one should ever have to stay in an unhappy marriage or any unhappy or unhealthy relationship. While driving to Cairo, a clip of Ethan's interview plays, and he says that he thinks if Olivia had found out he bought another car while they were separated, they probably would have gotten a divorce. So obviously Ethan has always been a great husband, and Olivia is selfish and pure evil. The actual car conversation is Olivia finding herself frustrated with Ethan because she feels like she's doing the best she can to support him and be there for one of his favorite hobbies. But he just keeps saying he's going to do all those things by himself during this trip.
Like, I feel like you're trying to get rid of me.
I don't know. I was hoping to go by myself. That's what I was originally hoping for.
Ethan, you want to go by yourself because you still don't want to tell her you bought the stupid car. Your conflict avoidance is absolutely selfish, and I'm so glad modern day Olivia is free from you.
What's happening right now is real life that you're refusing to be a part of and have conversations and work through things.
Well said, Olivia. The trip seems to continue in silence as Olivia is clearly upset and Ethan is shut down.
Why you look so down? It probably wouldn't have taken you long if I knew that we were just going to be this sad.
Beautiful words to say to your wife who feels like she's not understood or appreciated by you, especially after several months of being apart to try and allow you space to grow. Olivia hates K-Row, but she's trying to show Ethan she cares about what he cares about, but he doesn't seem to understand that. The Best Husband award definitely does not go to Ethan. The next several minutes of the show include Nathan and Mariah making hot chocolate together and then sitting by the campfire. They mostly chat about how Ethan still hasn't told Olivia about the car. Pretty boring stuff. In LA, Micah is hanging out with his friends, and Capiche is making them an Indian meal. While they're cooking, Micah shares that he went on a date and she asked him when he last had sex.
Did you tell the truth? Yes. I said last night.
You dog!
So, does Micah agree with the way he was raised and think he had a good childhood or not? He's so confusing. Olivia and Ethan have made it to K-Row and are at Philip's shop. Olivia really appreciates Philip because he is the one who is constantly encouraging Ethan to communicate with Olivia better and check in on her.
As me and Olivia and Philip are working on the motor, it's actually really, really pleasant. I'm glad she came.
Crazy how spending time with your wife can be nice sometimes. Meanwhile, at the Plath house, Barry talks about his anger and grief toward Kim.
That's been really rough to work through.
He also mentions that he has now sat down with the children and explained that they're separating. Now they're just enjoying a pizza dinner and catching up. Lydia is working at the bank and Isaac at the airport, and the little girls do school with both Kim and Lydia throughout the week.
As of now, I have no answers to why this is happening. I haven't really talked to my mom.
This scene turns into a quite emotional moment between Lydia and Barry when she tells him she appreciates his strength. It is now 3 days into Ethan and Olivia being in K-Row, and he still hasn't told her about the car. I think it's so unfair that Ethan just assumes it's going to be a huge fight, so he avoids telling her, but he doesn't avoid it altogether by, I don't know, not buying the car. He buys more time by talking to Mariah about it on the phone.
Which one do you think she's going to be more mad about? The fact you didn't tell her or the fact that you bought a car?
No, I think it's going to be equal parts of both.
I'm going to blame a lot of this immaturity on Kim and Barry. They raised Ethan in such a strict home that he had to learn how to sneak and hide the things he was doing. This has led him to being a sneaky husband and unable to confront any sort of conflict in his life. It's actually super hard to watch. And just as he's about to show her the new car and tell her, the episode ends. I forgot how hard TLC had to work for the drama of this season. All right, the final episode for this video, episode 5. It picks up exactly where we left off, and we see this odd interview moment with Ethan and the producer.
I just squeezed this.
What is it?
It's the cat.
Oh. Got a lot of anxiety right now?
Yeah.
But finally, he tells her.
I bought another old car.
Really?
Yeah.
Olivia then asks when he bought it. It's clear she's upset, but she stays silent. We get to hear her feelings in an interview.
During that time you went and bought yet another car and then hid it from me, I think is just, it was really hurtful.
Ethan completely misses the point with this comment.
I mean, if coming up here to work on my cars or whatever is a setback in our marriage, then our marriage isn't much of a marriage.
Ethan, you hid this from her for 8 months. She has been working her butt off for days to help you work on your cars. So it's not about that. You're so clueless. In LA, Hayden and his Brazilian girlfriend Amanda are hanging out / on a double date with Micah and Amanda's Spanish friend Antia. All of them are in LA in hopes of becoming actors. All of them, minus Micah, met at an acting school. Micah mentions how he'd love to go, but can't afford it right now.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 8.
Damn.
They mostly just chat about how unique Micah's childhood was and then go play some ping pong. I always find these scenes so boring and not worth talking about. In Tallahassee, Lydia and Barry are having a nice picnic lunch together. Lydia also re-mentions that they now go to a church in Tallahassee, as we learned from all of the people at her graduation party last season. I know Lydia is technically an adult here, but I hate this scene a lot because Barry shares a lot of what's going on between him and Kim with her. As a child who grew up oftentimes being what felt like my parents' therapist, I will never have conversations like this with my potential future children.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'll have my moments where I just have to
I also hate this for Lydia because she was already carrying the mom role before all of this. And now, for the little girls, she's the most consistent older female role in their life. That is a lot to put on someone. But Barry says his wild line again.
Sometimes I wonder, is she just going through a midlife crisis?
There's no telling.
I'm telling you, this scene is way too long and it's hard to watch. Barry goes on to say he considered not signing for the dance studio because he was so mad at Kim for leaving him, but he decided that wasn't how he wanted the separation to go. He also hoped that signing would show her that he does care. I do also want to acknowledge that Kim and Barry met and married within 4 months. I think their relationship lasting 25 years and 10 children is pretty impressive in itself considering that. But obviously they didn't give the relationship much time to know one another, and they began having kids almost immediately. So I don't think this is much of a shock when you break it down that way. One thing that is also mentioned in this conversation is Ethan is the only one who doesn't know about the separation. But that's it for the conversation. Back in Cairo, it turns out Olivia flew to Miami after finding out about the car. But of course, Ethan stayed to work on his true loves. Then Mariah picked Olivia up at the airport.
It was nothing about buying a car. It was more the location of the car and the timing of it.
While at a little coffee shop, Mariah tells Olivia she has decided not to even be friends with Max anymore and to fully focus on herself. She also mentions how the intense emotions of the breakup brought up a lot of memories of going through her brother Joshua's death. Remember, she watched the whole thing happen. And I will say this a million times, Mariah went through intense trauma and needs a professional to help her sort through it. At one of the rental properties, Kim has the girls over and they're having ice cream. So I'm not sure what the rules are anymore for anyone. Kim feels like Barry jumped the gun when talking to the kids about everything. But considering Kim has moved out, I think she is moving a bit too slow. We also get to hear probably one of the most honest things Kim has ever said.
A lot of the decisions that we made parenting in the past was really my desire to correct my childhood.
I'm glad she's finally realizing that a mother can set boundaries, but doesn't have to be so strict and unfun. She seems to also realize that this overprotection has hurt her older kids, and the younger ones don't deserve that. While talking about the separation, Amber is really brave and asks Kim a great question.
I know Dad's willing to move because he'll do it for you, but it just seems like if you're the one that wants to break it up and you're the one that doesn't want to stay, then shouldn't you be the one to move?
Kim explains that she will do what the kids want, but her thought process of getting the house was that she would be the primary person taking care of the children. Amber makes it clear here that she feels Kim used Barry to buy the dance studio to allow herself her own income and then get away from Barry. And Amber is hurt to see her mom abandon her dad. I'm glad to see Kim take the time to sit and listen and not fight back.
You're allowed to feel whatever it is that you feel.
It also seems Amber understands Kim's perspective a little more now that she got to hear from her. Barry may have tried to steer the narrative to make Kim look like the bad guy, and obviously that's not fair for the kids. Meanwhile, Ethan has returned to Tampa, and it's now time for him and Olivia to talk through what happened.
I guess I could say that I don't know the mood she's gonna be in when I walk in the door, but I can pretty much bet that she's gonna be a little emotional.
Wow, a woman who is hurt and misunderstood by her husband is emotional. That is just absurd. Unfortunately for us, that's the end of the episode and the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment your thoughts about season 4 so far in the comments below. Thank you again for taking the time to hear my thoughts on this wild show. Until next time, bye.